maintaining quality of life during construction is a challenge because you have dozens of people coming into the most intimate spaces of your home continually during working hours and actually tearing out walls and creating dust. That being said, we employ a lot of floor protection and doormats and dust collection, actually negative pressure, full HEPA dust collection systems during the actual demolition. It is best to move out of your home completely and leave the entire home kind of as a blank slate for us to work. That's actually the cheapest option for you as well, because if we have to do all these dust containment protocols and all this protection to try to keep dust from moving into one part of the home that we're working on and impacting your life in another, it's more labor intensive. We can do it, we're willing to do it, but it is a lot of work. And that being said, these dust containment systems, these temporary plastic walls and these doormats and these runners and frame protector things that we use, all of those are not going to take the impact of construction down to zero. We like to try to mitigate it at an 80% level, but when the volume of dust that's being created sometimes during demolition and you're only able to kind of capture and contain 80%, that 20% is still significant impact on your life. So we work through it. We continue to clean up. We use the protocols and the systems that are able to contain that. And we have that as part of a standard practice. So if you're intending to live in the home, we plan on doing those things and isolating the dust where we can and doing all that. And if you're moving out, there's maybe less temporary walls and stuff, but we're still going to protect existing flooring and do things to minimize it, because containing it to the space allows us to keep it clean it up and get it ready for the next subcontractor to go in. We will talk about during the pre-contract and feasibility design phase with you whether you intend to move out. I ask about what bathrooms that you'll be using if we're impacting the master suite. Will you be moving to a different part of the home? What do you plan on doing if there's upcoming holidays? Being very honest about what the impact will be. Can remember back to a kitchen that we started in September, I believe, and said, hey, there's no way we'll be in by Thanksgiving. We're going to try to get it up and running for you by Christmas. And even though we had the email that we said we couldn't do it, they still interpreted maybe by Thanksgiving, definitely Christmas, which is why back to that clear communication on timelines and what can be done. We did get them functional by Christmas, but it required me to show up and put in some temporary countertops and enable them to use their toaster oven and things, because we were still waiting on some of the upper cabinets to be completed, etc. So those are things that we talk about in pre-contract design phase that we can enable you to be ready and use your home as much as possible, because sometimes it's not possible for people to move out, but when that is possible, we like our clients to do that. So anyway, we also understand that with your neighbors, with the amount of trailers and trucks and things that can come in, that it can impact your neighbors. And we want to be good neighbors to your neighbors, because we want to do their renovations as well. We want the experience to be positive with our company and all of our subcontractors. So we talk with our subcontractors and our trades about where they will park and how they will do it. And the reality is that a lot of times we have to overflow into the street. We have to park on the right of ways that maybe be something that's maintained by these homeowners, your neighbors, but not necessarily their property, and something they can say we have to stay off of because the town owns into or has a right into these kind of right-of-ways. And so anyway, we don't want to get in a fight with your neighbors. We don't want to impact things. We don't want to mess up their yard. But sometimes that happens. Sometimes we end up having to fix some stuff or come back out, and we try to establish a line of communication and deal with it directly. Unfortunately, some neighbors want to call the town and complain and file that kind of thing, the town immediately calls us and says, hey, we got this. And they end up having to be the intermediary. So our preference is that we deal with it directly with the neighbor in a polite way. I think sometimes they can be intimidated to come up to trades, and that's essentially why you have a general contractor involved to kind of step in and mediate that kind of thing between your neighbors. And if there is any kind of pre-existing strife between you and your neighbors, we like to know about that so that we can tread lightly and not exacerbate something that may be pre-existing. But anyway, that's just more about how we handle the issue and go through that. And like we do our construction and our product, we want to get along with everybody. We want it to work well, and we appreciate having a plan for that from the very beginning.